All right. Okay. So, my talk today, October 12th, is going to be pretty different from the other talks at this conference. It's aimed more at the hoodies in the audience versus the suits, but I will try to make some points relevant for those who are here for the blockchain. Yeah. So today we are going to explore something we call the Machine Payable Web. The core concept is a web where machines essentially earn Bitcoin on every single HTTP request. Now, who here knows what an HTTP request is? Just show of hands. Okay. All right. Well, every time you load a web page, that's an HTTP request happening. So that's a lot of HTTP requests. Therefore, if you're earning Bitcoin on every HTTP request, it could be a ton of Bitcoin. It could be important. So, might be worth paying attention to. Okay. So, we think that a third web is actually emerging, right? And by a third web, we mean that right now people are familiar with two webs. There's the World Wide Web, right, where you have documents linked to each other, right, via hyperlinks. And you've got the social web where you have links between people, and you have likes and pokes and tweets and so on flowing between them. And we think there's going to be a third web, a machine web, where the links are actually monetary payments between machines. And we call it the Machine Payable Web, or the Machine Web for short. Now, you might ask, why would we need something like that? Why would we even want a machine payable web in the first place? The reason is that paywalls are actually a much bigger problem than you think. And by paywall, what am I referring to? By analogy, you've probably gone to a major financial newspaper's website and gotten this paywall. And what do you usually do? You take the URL. You take the URL of the article, paste it into a search engine, and try to see the article for free, right? And the reason you do that is because you're actually paying in a completely different way. You're not paying the newspaper, unfortunately. You're paying the search engine. And you're not paying via paywall. You're paying via micropayments. You're paying them via micropayments in the form of an ad impression. Okay? So this is how content is monetized on the web. It's either via, paywalls, or it's via ad-based micropayments, right? The issue is that if we're talking about machines, if you're a developer, well, you only have the option of using paywalls. So you've probably heard of those popular cloud services. If you're a developer, you've certainly heard of them. And the thing is, signing up for a service like that is a lot like subscribing to a newspaper. You have to go and put in a credit card. You have to put in your address and all this information, sometimes ID and all this stuff, before you can use the resources. And there's nothing analogous to a frictionless sign-up process where you can just click and rent a machine without any kind of pre-authorization. One way to think about it is just by analogy again, right? So if every website had a paywall, right? If every website had a lock in front of it, you wouldn't have the World Wide Web we know. Instead, it would be more like television, where you'd have subscriptions to a few key channels, and then you wouldn't really venture out from that. Instead of clicking on tens of thousands of links in a year, you'd only click on a handful, basically being confined to the places you had subscriptions to. So that's really where machine APIs are stuck today, right? They're stuck in this lower quadrant. They're stuck in a place where they can't link back and forth to each other like documents. You have to go and sign up for each of them individually. There's no circulation or anything there, right? So the reason this is the case is an interesting and subtle point, I think, which is that the way content is monetized is you have a human and, they hit a paywall here 1% of the time and they pay for the content. But 99% of the time, let's just say, they bounce and don't pay, right? So 1% of them pay 100% of the time. The alternate monetization model is one where you've got a human and all of them get to see the content. And once in a while, 1% of them get distracted by an ad. And then, a monetization event occurs. But with machines, the problem is machines don't get distracted, right? So with a machine over here, you might set up the paywall and they'll pay. But if you just try giving them the content for free and put up an ad, they're never going to get distracted from the goal. They'll always just barrel right for the API. They're not going to click an ad, right? So machines don't inadvertently click ads. And because of this, in order to actually have this machine payable web, we need a way for machines to actually pay other machines. And for a machine web, We need a machine currency, and we need Bitcoin. Okay. And yes, and a blockchain. The blockchain. All right. So now that we've motivated this, let's talk about what we are going to do with Bitcoin. And that's why we've built this software. It's a free piece of software. You can download it. It allows you to build a machine accessible web. That is to say, take any machine, any Linux machine, any Mac OS X machine, and soon any Windows machine, and just run some software to have that machine earn Bitcoin for you and connect to other machines that also spend and receive that Bitcoin. Okay? And this software basically makes Bitcoin the fundamental currency of the Machine Payable Web. Okay? Let me explain what that means and the features included in this software. There are basically three key features, right? The first is that this software allows you to get Bitcoin very quickly on any device. So you can install it and run one of several different commands to mine, buy, earn, sell, or even get some Bitcoin from a faucet to start using in your programs. The second thing it does is it allows you to add Bitcoin micropayments to your app with literally one line of code. In front of any existing web API, you just add this line of code, and you can say, I want 5,000 Satoshis per API call. Okay, you can actually pass in something much more sophisticated there. You can pass in a pricing function. You can have an arbitrary fee. You can have surge pricing for APIs. And so, this is pretty advanced. It means you can retrofit or build new applications that use Bitcoin micropayments without knowing practically anything about Bitcoin. Just put in one line of code. The third thing we've done is, once you've built these kinds of applications, so you've got your Bitcoin, you've added micropayments to your application, we have a marketplace where you can actually exchange Bitcoin for services with other people and earn Bitcoin on every HTTP request, right? And as I said before, there are a huge number of HTTP requests, so that could potentially be a lot of Bitcoin. Let's go through these features in turn to get a feel for them. So first, get Bitcoin on any device, right? This is the fastest way to get started in any country. You don't need a bank account. You don't need a credit card. Just install the software and go. Let me show you how you do that. Basically, to install it, it's just a simple command. You can even preview the script if you want. But bang, you've got it, right? You've just installed the software. There are many commands. It's very easy to remember. So installation is instant. It installs all the dependencies and other stuff if you want them. That will let you set up servers and so on, right? So it's very intuitive. If you forget some details, it will prompt you to correct them. So it handles errors well and so on, right? And once you've installed the software, we have 5 different built-in methods to get Bitcoin onto your machine. And you can choose whichever one you prefer, right? You can mine Bitcoin. You can buy Bitcoin via integration with a known exchange. You can get Bitcoin from a faucet. And then you can also do 2 things that don't involve either mining or buying Bitcoin. You can earn Bitcoin by doing micro tasks and then for others. And you can also sell your machine's resources for Bitcoin, kind of like an Airbnb for machines. Okay, let's take a quick look at each of these. So, when it comes to mining Bitcoin, if a mining chip is detected, you can simply enter the command to mine. Mining will begin, and you can see your Bitcoin balance go up. Okay, if you want to buy Bitcoin via the exchange integration, you can simply buy Bitcoin and it will be deposited into your wallet, right? So, if you want to buy in bulk, it's easy to do. Okay, if you want to get some Bitcoin without signing up at all, if you're feeling particularly lazy, well, you can always use the faucet, right? And we, rate limit this in various ways. So don't abuse it, but you can just use a command on any machine, get some Bitcoin, start playing around, make some PI calls, and so on. You can earn Bitcoin. Okay, and this is going to be pretty cool because it's new. I mean, people have talked about a Bitcoin economy where people actually get paid in Bitcoin, but we pay small amounts of Bitcoin for very small tasks. For example, if you invite a bunch of your friends, you get paid Bitcoin, and you get paid more if they have an institutional email versus a free or fake email, right? Other kinds of micro tasks like this will be made available. So even if you don't use the faucet, you can do something without a credit card in any country to earn Bitcoin for a little bit of effort. The fifth and final method is by actually booting up a machine payable server. So, while the earn command is an active thing, you're putting in labor and getting Bitcoin. The sell command is passive. You launch a command, and then you get Bitcoin in the background as it's running. All these things combined basically mean it's a very simple way to, install the software and easily get Bitcoin in a variety of ways, right? Okay. So once you have this concept of selling APIs for Bitcoin, you might want to build your own, not just the built-in ones. And so you have the functionality to add Bitcoin capabilities to any app. And it's very simple. Here's the before. You have your web app here. And here's the after. And you just add a line of code there. And you specify, the amount you want to charge. And importantly, that can be an arbitrary function, okay? A function that can take any HTTP request and return whatever price you want. You can have a lower price for your friends. You can have a lower price for your family. And you can have dynamic pricing. You can have a higher price if demand warrants it, right? So you can have completely dynamic pricing. And you can have that happen in real time in response to computation. The third thing the software provides is basically the ability to earn Bitcoin on every HTTP request, right? So it's a new way to monetize online with machine-to-machine micropayments. And basically what you can do here is, once you've built that custom app we just showed you, after adding your line of code and the payment requirement, you can run a publish command and submit it to the marketplace. Then others can buy and sell from you in this marketplace because it's a discovery point. It's an index, like a search engine or an auction site. You need an index, a marketplace, for people to find each other and buy and sell from each other. A currency alone isn't enough. You also need discovery. In addition to discovery, we have a community, so you can set up your profile here. We have profile pages and similar things. And you can join the community and find other people interested in buying and selling from you. And that community is set to grow because now we have this free software. Now, some of you might be wondering, okay, this is great. You have this free software, but your Bitcoin computer? What happened to that? And the answer is that we've actually turned every computer into a Bitcoin computer. We've essentially taken the Bitcoin computer, which was a kind of first stage, and it now has 3 layers, right? So, there's the software I just talked about. There's the DIY Bitcoin computer here. And we have full instructions for turning anything into a black box that makes you money. Starting with single board computers, moving towards any other spare computer you have. You just put it on your desk, and it will make you money in the background. And the third thing we have is embedded mining. And that's coming. I don't have time to talk about it now. But rest assured, we haven't forgotten about it. This software in many ways provides the justification for embedded mining because it offers many endpoints that can actually accept Bitcoin and do useful things. Okay, so to summarize, today, October 12th, we launched a software that basically builds what we believe is the third web, the Machine Payable Web. And what this software allows you to do is make Bitcoin the currency of that Machine Payable Web. It allows you to get Bitcoin on any device. It allows you to add Bitcoin to any app, and it allows you to earn Bitcoin on every HTTP request. So if this interests you,